you to speak to us about the functions of Nigeria Atomic Energy Commission and what has the commission been up to lately?
Thank you very much for having me, and welcome to Nigeria Atomic Energy Commission. I think this is the commission that was established by the federal government in 1976, by Act 46 of 1976 to be precise. But the commission has not been activated until recently in 2006, when the federal government deemed it necessary to have a full-fledged atomic energy commission for the purpose of promoting peaceful application of nuclear science and technology in the country. Prior to the activation of the commission in 2006, the activities of the Atomic Energy Commission and the activities of our research centers who are promoting technology in the field of nuclear science and technology were monitored or supervised by Energy Commission of Nigeria, which has both renewable and non-renewable cases and nuclear to be carried. So in that case, federal government in conjunction with the International Atomic Energy Agency looked at other agencies of the international bodies and the best practice applicable to all over the world, and it deemed necessary to have a concentrated or dedicated body to be in charge of atomic energy matters for the promotion of nuclear science and technology, the peaceful applications, for construction, and also for promoting the deployment of nuclear energy, like the nuclear power plants, also for deployment of multi-purpose research reactors for the purpose of nutrition, health, interventions in those areas, also for applications of nuclear science and technology in the field of agriculture, health, water resources, environment, and industrial applications. So, and it will interest you to know that the Atomic Energy Commission was also vested with responsibility of coordinating all nuclear activity matters in Nigeria. So, the office is in charge of the National Liaison Office for International Atomic Energy Agency. The office is also the national coordinator for regional projects in Africa in the promotion of nuclear science and technology. So virtually, the commission has a lot of functions to train human capital, to construct facilities, to liaise with the universities or research institutes for the promotion of nuclear science and technology, to explore mineral resources, radioactive mineral resources, and also to develop the technology of nuclear science in the country and in its own peaceful applications. Basically, these are the major functions of the commission.
Talking about developing nuclear technology, just recently, your commission, had a stakeholders meeting to introduce the new tech, to stakeholders. So I'd like you to talk about this new tech technology. What are the importance and the benefits to the Nigerian economy?
Yes, actually, Nigeria being the largest African country with over 200 million population, and you can understand that the population brings about the consumption of materials, and during the consumption of the materials, there are a lot of waste being generated. And one of the major problems all over the world today is the plastic pollution problems. The plastic was found to be non-degradable, and so it is very difficult for it to decompose in the environment. So it becomes a nuisance to not only land but also water and sea and all these places. So in an effort to see how we can environmentally safeguard the pollution, including the plastic pollution particularly, which is not degradable, we thought of using various methods. One of the key methods that they normally use is incineration and decomposition of those plastic materials. But we realized recently that using nuclear techniques, there is a way you can recycle the plastic into more usable materials that can again be injected into the system. So United Nations and International Atomic Energy Agency has launched a program of plastic pollution using the nuclear techniques. Nigerian government, as a matter of fact, has brought into it. The Federal Minister of Environment has visited the United Nations systems in Riyadh, where he said, he mentioned the fact that Nigeria is interested in joining this group of international communities to be able to use nuclear techniques in the control of plastic pollution in Nigeria. So the target is to ensure that both our water, our seas, and our land area is taken off, the plastics are taken off from that, and then recycled into usable materials using the nuclear techniques. Now, as a commission that is in charge of promoting nuclear science and technology, we deemed it necessary to call on the stakeholders in Nigeria, both those that generate the plastic waste and those that will be benefiting from the end user recycled material, to keep them under one table and inform them about the new techniques, and also solicit their support in ensuring that Nigeria utilizes techniques. I want to inform you that the International Atomic Energy is launching a project, particularly on support for the utilization of nuclear techniques in the plastic eradication. And I think Nigeria is buying into that project. So the first thing we need to do is, first and foremost, to sensitize our stakeholders, to allow them understand the roles that they are going to play if we start this project, and also particularly to liaise with Federal Ministry of Environment to utilize their potentials and their facilities that they already have in different zones in the country to integrate nuclear techniques into those facilities in the cycle of plastic pollution.
Okay, I know, talking about stakeholders, just recently, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria set up a steering committee for, the blue economy sector, and we know how important the blue economy is. I mean, for over years, we've been talking about green economy and all that, then the blue economy. So who are the stakeholders? Because the blue economy is very important for, of course, economic activities of Nigeria. Who are the major stakeholders your commission is working with in order to actualize this?
Yes, thank you very much. You see, usually federal government policies and programs are anchored by the MDAs that are responsible to promote the programs. One of the major programs of the federal government is to look into our sea and see how we can tap the potential of the sea to be able to promote the economic activities of the country. And history has shown that sometimes some developed countries used to dump waste in our seas. And in fact, some few years back, we have collaborated with the International Atomic Energy Agency to set up a marine contamination and pollution monitoring station in Waloma, Bayelsa State. And that station uses nuclear techniques to be able to monitor pollutions in our seas. The purpose is to see that the Gulf of Guinea is free of heavy and toxic metals contaminations around our seawaters, so that one, to safeguard the marine animals, seafoods that are available there, two, to also safeguard the communities that are around those seashores of Nigeria and the Gulf of Guinea, and also to make sure that at least the area, we have a lot of oil and gas there, the area is not contaminated to be able to get the best of the place. So, as a follow-up to that activity, which the Marine Coastal Monitoring Station is still functional, very active, we found out that the government has now wanted to extend into economy of the green of the sea. So I think the resources of using nuclear techniques to be able to stop or control pollution monitoring and to be able to eradicate contaminations in the sea will help the government in ensuring that the green project goes on without hindrance. And now we have notified the International Atomic Energy and other partners, and we have also notified relevant stakeholders in Nigeria, particularly the Federal Ministry of Environment, on the role that our nuclear technology can play in ensuring the safety of our seas, in ensuring also the control of pollution and contamination in those seas, so that at least our economic viability of the green will be actualized.
Yeah. Okay, so talking about actualizing the economic values of the sea, what are the benefits in terms of job creation? How does Nigerians benefit from the new tech, invention?
Yes, I think if you look at the value chain in plastic pollution control, you will realize that not only the synthetic materials that come out from the recycling of the plastic using the nuclear techniques that can be able to be integrated into the industrial applications, but also you find out that there are people in the value chain who work from collecting the materials as waste, who worked in the recycling plants, who also work in the synthetic distribution and applications, and who also manage the entire economic system of the chain. So I think introduction of this technology for the pollution control is not only going to make our environment clean, but it's also going to create a lot of industrial activities. And whenever you have industrial activities, job creations are there, and then also it will promote the healthy living of our people, and it will also increase the revenue generation for the government. So I think this is our target: applying one technology, solving many challenges.
So how will you implement this technology?
Yes, so the technology is going to be implemented by collaborating with the stakeholders. One of the key issues is that we want the stakeholders to buy in, and once they buy into it, we have sat down with them and discussed what are the roles and responsibilities of each. And some of them are using other means, other technologies, other facilities to do that, but it is costing them more, and it is also becoming not friendly per se in the deployment. So when we introduce this technology to them, they have seen that there is a lot of savings that they can do using the nuclear techniques, as well as also support the environmental pollution control. So what we want to do is that the introduction of the technology is not going to come from scratch. The introduction of the technology is going to rely on the existing facilities, on the existing methods and processes that we are using in plastic control, and then enhance that process. So if you have an incinerator, for instance, for decomposing plastic waste, then you now bring the nuclear instrument attached to that incinerator, and then definitely then you now use the nuclear techniques in trying to decompose the material, and then try to see if it has more advantage on the former method. So gradually you will now start phasing out those archaic technologies, phasing out those heavy duty, economically not viable technologies, so that at least with time, it may take 1 or 2 years for its acceptability. It may take 1 or 2 years for the deployment of all the technology in all the regions of the country, because looking at the size of the country and the size of the waste we generate on a daily basis. But at the long run, we create jobs, we make our environment clean, we make our people healthy, we generate resources, income for the country, and then generally we are able to allow the industries that produce these plastics to continue to be in business. Because if there is no way of controlling these plastics, you are generally telling us that we have a law that one day they will say, do not produce these plastics. And those industries and those people that are employed in those industries have to be phased out. So we don't want that to happen in Nigeria. We want, if there is a problem, waste is generated from plastic, how can we solve the problem rather than stopping the industries from doing their business? So I think these are the value chain we see in using the nuclear technology to be able to solve the challenges we have with plastics.
It's a very good and welcome technology for Nigeria. You know, Nigeria we don't have problem with coming up with policies. It's really not a problem for us. But my question is, do we have the capacity to actualize this new tech?
Usually, you see, we are a people that always tell Nigerians that whenever you have anything on paper, if you did not bring it in the physical implementation, it still remains on paper. Ordinarily, when the notion of using nuclear techniques to be able to address the challenges of pollution, plastic pollution came on, we as an organization that promotes nuclear technology, we said, look, the first thing is, when you go to media houses and start talking about using nuclear techniques to do this, to do that, is not adequate. Invite the people that are in the field, discuss with them, know from them what are the things that we are doing, how can we do that better, how can we be able to look at the approaches and see if we can enhance those approaches. As you have already mentioned earlier, that we have already started this. We have discussed with the stakeholders, we have identified key areas, we have discussed with our international partners, we have identified certain interventions that need to be done. We have discussed with our Federal Ministry of Environment as part of their responsibility in environmental pollution control, and we have seen that they have a lot of facilities, a lot of human capital in the Federal Ministry of Environment that knows about plastic control. So what we do now with our people that we have in our various research centers and institutes who are using nuclear technologies over many years, by the time we bring this together, by the time we bring all these resources together, you will find out that one, our involvement will be training and capacity development for the end users, and training and capacity development for those that will be involved in the recycling, and training and capacity development for those that will be utilizing the byproduct of the recycling. So I think these are the major ones that we are going to do, but we have to create the umbrella to bring all these stakeholders together, and that we have captured as part of our implementation in our 2022 budget to ensure that research and development into area of nuclear applications are there in our 2022 budget, and we hope to reach out to the stakeholders through that platform and be able to bring them to understand how we are going to utilize. I'm assuring you that in 2022 you will begin to see bankable actions and actions in this line, and the way I have listed the processes, you will begin to see the processes being implemented. We have started the first phase, interfacing with stakeholders. We are now going to go into the next phase, and we'll invite you to be part of that.
Thank you very much. Then, more importantly, of course, I'm coming from the private sector. You've not said much about, of course, you're talking about stakeholders. What is the private sector involvement in this whole process? Because the private sector is very important.
Yes, when I enveloped the issue into the fact that there are plastic waste generators, when I involved into the fact that there are end users of recycled materials, all these are private sector based. The private sector based are industries that utilize the end product of the recycled plastic, and ordinarily, usually, they buy this one from abroad and they try to source them so that they can integrate into their own production lines. But if we can make it available by recycling our waste, plastic waste, then that means we will save a lot of foreign currency for those private industries. But you generally accept the fact that majority of producers of plastic waste today are private sector companies. I don't want to list the companies because of the trademark, but you understand that we take bottled water, we take bottled drinks, we take plastic, what you call sachet water, we take, all these are private individuals producing these things to enhance livelihood. But then when people use the content, the material become waste, and you find out that there is no tangible policy or no government regulatory body that will stand up to ensure that those plastic materials goes back to the companies that produce it, and make it as an obligation for those companies to retrieve back their product after people have utilized, so to find how to recycle them. But with this intervention, we are going to bring the private sector to tell them that, look, you are the source of these plastics, and definitely you have to be a key stakeholder in ensuring that this plastic does not contaminate the environment. But again, on the other side, say, well, we have a solution to bring those raw materials that you want. If we recycle this material, it will give us a product that you are requiring, and you used to buy for your own production. So we are going to supply you those products. But then, for us to supply you those products, you also need to be a stakeholder in the production of that product. The producer will be happy eliminating it from the environment. The government will be happy the environment is clean, and human life is improved. So it's going to be a win-win. Government is a kind of policy maker, and it's a kind of buffer solution that will make sure that ensures that the system is going on without particularly holding major stake in the system. So we have to play a role of bringing the producers and the end users together under one table, under one umbrella, and let them contribute to cleaning the environment.
So what is your projection for?
Well, I see this as a multi-billion project and investment. If today I'm a private sector man, I will definitely key into the value chain, invest into it, and ensure that I just gave me a common scenario that there are industries looking for the end product. If you can bring in your resources to take all these plastic, recycle them, and then sell to those industries, it's a lot of business you can do and a lot of people you can employ. Or if you can be a person that you have your products and you say, okay, I'm selling soft drink, for instance, but at the end, whenever you bring back these bottles, you will attract another discount or something like that, and then you will now particularly have the technology to recycle it yourself without going into somebody's recycling for you. Then you bring a lot of savings for your industry and you make a lot of money. So I think there's prospect in this field, and I'm hoping that all the stakeholders will understand this prospect and join hands with us to see that we make our environment clean.
Just one more question. As a layman, when you talk about nuclear, I mean, the first thing that comes to your mind is bomb.
Yes.
So how
Yes.
do you simplify this for a layman
Yes.
to understand exactly what you are talking about?
Yes, I think if we go back to the layman stage, nuclear technology is exploiting the energy resources that are in an atomic molecule. Now, when you go back to the atomic level, all materials are made up of atoms. And in those atoms, each of the atom is condensed energy. When I say condensed energy, is like an energy packed together in one place. So if you can have opportunity to release that energy packed in an atom, that energy can come out in form of heat, in form of radiation, in form of some neutrons and whatever. So those ones, when they are releasing the energy, if you can target that energy will now go and increase the ground level energy of other molecules and atoms, and they go into the excited state. And in the process of going to the excited state, they will now change their chemical composition and characteristics. You break some bonds, molecules and compounds. So, and by breaking those bonds, molecules, you have now transformed a heteroatom material A into a different new material. So that byproduct is a synthetic material which can now again go into other systems to support other. So at the end of the day, if you use nuclear techniques, you find that material A that you start with is far different from material B in all ramifications, in their chemical composition, in their